think those lovely ladies deserve another round of applause, don't you? Thank you. The next performance is from an established group who range from ages 13 to 32, based right here in the heart of Coventry. They have also been given a unique opportunity to perform before the Queen, Her Majesty, for the Diamond Jubilee celebrations. They will also be taking part in the torch relay in Birmingham and in Coventry, so we are very honoured to have them here with us today. Their dance style is what we now call in modern days a fusion of Kathak, Bollywood and the all-famous Bhangra dancing. So I would like to present Hina Bhangra Dance Academy from Coventry. Please give them a very warm welcome. When you see such beautiful little children like that, they certainly deserve another round of applause, don't they? The next performance is presented by the Tamil Welfare Association, who have been presenting a cultural dance from the range of a snake dance to a morning, an early morning should I say, wake-up dance, which is illustrating their own Tamil community. They are a registered charity within Coventry, helping the disadvantaged communities, children with learning various languages including Tamil, and key stage subjects, along with various forms of cultural subjects in form of dance and music. I would now like to request that you will put your hands together as we present the dance performed by the Tamil Welfare Association in Coventry.
फोटो लगा फोटो कैप्चर
evening is by a group called Ritmo, which simply means rhythm. All of the members of the group are asylum seekers and refugees who met at the local Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre. So please give them a very big hand to the men's group's drummers. all, I'd like to introduce to you Sabir Zaze, Trustee of the Refugee Centre, Project Manager at Voluntary Action Coventry and Chairperson for the Afghan Society of Coventry, to come and say a few words.
In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, Archbishop, Bishop Christopher, Bishop John, Bishop Josiah, Lord Mayor, Lady Marys, councillors, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you by the beautiful greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, which literally means peace be upon you all. Respected guests, it's a real privilege to be here to welcome you to this very important event in the life of Coventry as a city of peace and reconciliation. When I was first asked to deliver the welcoming speech, I was very excited but slightly hesitant, because the last thing I want to try here is to compete in any way with the Archbishop's brilliant speeches. And when I first arrived in Coventry as an asylum seeker, I wasn't expecting that I will be standing in front of a big crowd in Coventry welcoming the Archbishop of Canterbury and the many bishops. In fact, my only previous experience of bishops in that time was on a chessboard. But ladies and gentlemen, this clearly highlights that Coventry is a welcoming place where it does not take too long for one to be part of the community. Coventry gives hope, and hope is what we celebrate this evening. As many migrants, I too have made a major journey from a stranger into a citizen. And through this journey, I've learned one lesson, a lesson that I'm very keen to share across, and that is not to give up hope. Ladies and gentlemen, I can recall that very time when I first left my family behind in search of peace and hope. As a human being, I may face many tough decisions in my life, but the decision to leave my family behind during the time of war, famine and conflict in Afghanistan almost 12 years ago was one of the most difficult decisions I've had to make so far in my life. In the first few days when I first arrived in Britain, I felt like a stranger, lost in a totally new environment, without the support of friends and family to help me make the transition. Until I started reading and writing English, I did not know that Coventry was renowned for peace and reconciliation. Ladies and gentlemen, what could be a better gift to someone in search of peace than to be settled in a city associated with peace and reconciliation? As a first generation of migrants, I share, and my journey is the journey that many migrants and many Coventarians have undertaken. The development of the new cathedral, our new communities, symbolize hope and symbolize the rebirth of our city. History proves that in 1962, when the new cathedral was opened, alongside the cathedral, our city's first Gurdwara, first mosque and first mandir were also opened in the early 1960s. After the war, communities from the Indian subcontinent, African Caribbean, Muslims, Jews, Hindus and Sikhs settled in Coventry and played an important role in building our noble legacy of peace and reconciliation. This reminds us that we all share this legacy as Coventarians, And the 50th celebration is not only celebrating the cathedral's rebirth, but it celebrates the fact that Coventry is a place that provides sanctuary and hope to many that are fleeing war and persecution and are joining us in our journey of hope. But we shouldn't forget that the role of faith is not only about buildings. Faith is closely linked to how we treat each other. A person's faith is what makes that person. And it's impossible to separate faith and moral action. Our faiths tell us to love one another. Our faith tells us to care for one another. And our faiths tell us to live within our means. I must say that faith is rooted in us. For example, the first thing most people look for when they first arrive is their place of worship. And that example reflects my arrival. When I first arrived, the first place I went to in search of hope and human companionship was my local mosque in Hillfields. I'm pleased to say that faith communities, alongside our caring public sector and the vibrant voluntary sector in Coventry, played and continue to play an important role in welcoming migrants. But on the other hand, it's also important to acknowledge the positive impact of migration in our city. This event is just one example of how migrant communities have positively contributed to the cultural and economic life of the city. Coventry has always opened its doors to people from around the world. Coventry is a global city. Last year, the Coventry Refugee Centre supported people from 98 different countries. Coventry University has got 135 students from different countries. And the other day someone was telling me that 90 languages are spoken in one of the smallest wards in our city. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to say that the world is now in Coventry. Archbishop, we are privileged to welcome you to Coventry on behalf of New Communities. We're delighted to have you here to share with us our celebrations at the Welcome Centre, which is one of the many faith organisations that contributes significantly not only to the life of the wider community, but also supports those within our communities that are most in need. Archbishop, you had an opportunity quickly to go around some of the stalls, and that is just one example of a small selection of the organisations and individuals working together in the city to make life better for people in Coventry. The talent on display, either through performances or exhibitions and stalls, reinforces the value of contributions being made by individuals from different communities over the 50 years. On behalf of New Communities and the Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre, I would like to thank you and also acknowledge your relentless efforts in championing the role of migrants both in the UK and also around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we've arranged this evening for the Archbishop to hear directly from some of the faith and community leaders who are working together to renew the hopes and aspirations of a new generation of Coventarians. As communities, we all know that we're facing tough economic times, and now is the time for us to work together for a better future and more hope. Archbishop, once again, welcome to our global city of peace, reconciliation, and of sanctuary. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before I ask the Archbishop to come to the stage to say a few words, I'd like to thank a few people that have really made this evening happen, and they played an important role in that. I'd like to formally thank the Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre, its trustees, the board, volunteers and staff. A special thank to Voluntary Action Coventry, Divine Clusters members, the event planning committee for this event, the Welcome Centre. Especially thanks to Lee Hart for working tirelessly to make this event happen. Tennis and photography, obviously. Brian Homer Creatives for the design work. Coventry City Council for the small arts grant. Community-based champions volunteers who are working on the stalls. Community groups performing and exhibiting. Faith and community leaders. So thank you all very much for making this evening happen, and also showing to the Archbishop that we are a multicultural city, we have a rich culture. Welcome again to the Archbishop. I would like you now to come to the stage to say a few words. Thank you.
Well, good evening, friends. It's a great privilege for me to be here as your guest this evening. And I want to thank you very, very warmly for the depth and sincerity of the welcome, and of course also for the extraordinary excitement and delight of the presentations that we've seen this evening. Every one of them has been unique and memorable. So thank you for that wonderful enrichment. I want to say a very brief word about welcome and hospitality, and begin with a story that is probably familiar to Christians present, may not be quite so familiar to others. It's a story from the Hebrew Scriptures about a prophet who is a refugee. He has fled from persecution in his own country, and he is looking for food and for shelter in a neighboring country. But there is a famine in the neighboring country. He knocks on the door of a poor widow with a child and asks, will she give him something to eat and drink? She says she has only just a tiny little bit of oil and a flour. She is about to make what she thinks will be her last meal for her own family. The prophet says to her, make me something to eat before you make something for yourself. And the woman makes a little roll of bread with the oil and the flour and gives it to the prophet. And he says, from this moment on, your supplies of oil and of flour will not fail. So, when she extends hospitality to the stranger, she discovers that she has more, not less. And that, I think, is one of the messages we have heard this evening. A community that opens its doors to welcome the stranger has more and not less. More richness of humanity, more depth of experience, more range of hope, that crucial word which we heard so much about just now. And I think that story is important for us, especially at a time when we are looking at a future in which there will not be a great deal of abundance in this country, in which we all face financial problems and challenges. And it's so easy and so very tempting to say, when we have less, we must give less away. The story from Scripture that I quoted suggests, when we have less, we need to give more away and to open our doors more widely, because then we will be enriched. So I want to leave that story with you as something which to me expresses some of the vision that Coventry has shown over the years and still shows today. the vision of a community willing to be enriched, even when it has suffered, when it has been deprived, it has still found the vision and the strength to open its doors, like the woman in the story, making a little cake of oil and flour to share with the stranger, even if you're not sure where your own next meal is coming from. I'm not suggesting that Coventry has done that literally, but it has said the stranger is an enrichment, and that's what we look for in a city and a country that is really at home with itself. And that's the second thing I'd like to say very, very briefly. People are most hospitable, most welcoming, when they feel most at home with themselves and in themselves. And it is frightened, paranoid, unhappy societies that slam their doors in the face of strangers. A city that welcomes, like a home that welcomes, is a city and home that feels it can afford to open its doors because it knows that it lives in a spacious place. And so my prayer is that the city will go on being at home with itself enough to turn away from fear and anxiety and keep on welcoming. Watching the enormous variety before us this evening, one thought that came to mind, a rather bizarre thought you may think, is what we would say if somebody from an alien planet landed here in the UK, or indeed anywhere in the world, and said, "How do you dance?" And we'd have to say, well, it depends where you are. There are millions of different ways of dancing. There's no one right way of doing it. The only way you can learn about dancing is watching lots of people doing it differently. And that perhaps is a little clue to how we think about being human. If an alien landed and said, well, how do you go about this business of being a human being? We might say, well, there are billions of ways of being a human being. Just watch. You won't learn it from one person. You won't learn it from one society alone. You won't even, dare I say, you won't even learn everything from one faith alone. However much our convictions are strong and clear, we always still have something to learn from one another. So we would say to the alien, just watch the variety. I think an alien would have a rather good time in Coventry. And although I haven't quite come from another planet, I've had a good time in Coventry. Thank you for the welcome and God bless you.
We'd like to thank the Archbishop for that beautiful, inspiring speech, which I hope has moved us all. Thank you again, Archbishop. I would now like to introduce Bishop Christopher of Coventry to come and say a few words and a vote of thanks.
Lord Mayor, you must be very proud of your city. This has been what a lot of people. This has been a most marvellous occasion, and may I add my own thanks for being thanked so many people, but may I add my thanks to everyone. Archbishop, you sent me to Coventry. And I didn't know a great deal about Coventry. I did know something about its reputation for peace and reconciliation. I came with my small community, my family, my 5 children, my wife, and we wondered what we were to meet in Coventry. And I was welcomed by my own immediate Anglican Christian community. but I was also wonderfully welcomed by other new Christian communities who had settled in Coventry. And then I found myself wonderfully and marvellously welcomed by other faith communities, and not least by Sabir and Sanjay and Mona and many other people here, and that meant so much to me. As you say, there was a sense that I felt people saying, well, you're a stranger, but we think you might be an enrichment to us, and to be able to join the new communities here and try to welcome strangers among us, knowing that they will indeed be an enrichment, has been a great joy for me. Coventry, as we've heard, is not only a city of peace and reconciliation, but as we've been reminded, a city of sanctuary. As a follower of Jesus, who was himself, as a tiny child, a refugee, I honour the work of those who seek to welcome those who are refugees and to join in that. And we've seen a wonderful example of the drummers here who came as asylum seekers, now playing the beat together. There are, though, in our city, asylum seekers who have been denied asylum, and yet they know they cannot return to their own origins, of countries of origins, because they will be in great danger there. The Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre has launched the Hope Fund. That's such an important word. Thank you, Sabir, for reminding us of the importance of that word. There are some people in our community who are beginning to lose hope because they are on the point of destitution, going under the radar of any other sources of help. The Hope Fund is here to help them. I commend it to you. I think you may have leaflets in front of you. May I just finally conclude by adding my thanks to the Event Planning Committee and the Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre. This was a little idea I had when I heard the Archbishop was coming. What do we do with him on a Saturday night? We need a party. So I phoned up my dear friend Babinda Bassi and said, what do you think about laying on a party for the Archbishop of Canterbury? And that's all I had to say. And then the easiest party I've been involved in, it just happened. Babinda, I would like to say an especial thank you to you. Babinda Bassi is someone who makes things happen in Coventry. I dare to say he is someone God makes things happen around. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those wonderful performances. Thank you for the food that you have laid before us. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Christopher. I would like to introduce Ata Kaza, a Kurdish refugee who came to Coventry 12 years ago and brought a wealth of artistic talent with him, dating back to his native country. His artwork is now recognised not only in the UK but all over Europe. We are very privileged to have had his artwork presented today, and we would like him to present to His Grace the Archbishop of Canterbury just one example of the rich culture of art that we have in Coventry. So may I request the Archbishop of Canterbury, Bishop of Coventry, and also the Lord Mayor to accept this gift from Atta. Could we call you up on the stage, Archbishop? Thank you.
it's a matter of great pride for me to be able to welcome them in the way that we have done. I'd like to add my thanks to the Archbishop. I've never sat on the front row with so many bishops, and I'm feeling very humbled by the occasion. But we've really enjoyed their company, the Archbishop's company in particular, over the last few days in our city. We've been very proud to welcome him, and we've been very proud to be part of tonight's entertainment and speeches, and we're looking forward to the rest.
Mon nom c'est Claude Mabiala. On a essayé de montrer une autre image par les tam-tams, par notre culture, et de faire voir notre culture, ce qu'on apporte dans cette ville.
Donc vous, excusez-moi pour commencer, vous êtes présenté Claude Mabiala, vous faites partie du groupe, enfin vous représentez la communauté congolaise ou bien vous représentez le groupe Elikia?
On ne représente pas la communauté congolaise, on n'est pas mieux placé pour ça. Nous on est l'association Elikia, voilà.
Ok, l'association Elikia qui fait partie de la communauté congolaise. Vous êtes
communauté congolaise, voilà. Donc, il faut faire la part des choses. Je ne suis pas responsable de la communauté congolaise. Je fais partie de l'association Elikia. Je suis responsable de l'association Elikia. Oui, notre groupe, c'est un groupe folklorique. Mais ça n'exclut pas les autres. Déjà, je voulais m'appuyer sur ça. Ça n'exclut pas les autres. Les autres peuvent venir. Donc c'est un groupe folklorique et on a besoin des autres idées. Celui qui veut venir, la porte est ouverte à tout le monde.
Donc c'est un groupe folklorique qui regroupe tous les Africains en fait, pas seulement les Congolais.
Tous les Africains, pas seulement les Congolais. Voilà.
Ouais, ok. Et maintenant, quel est votre programme?
Là, on est en train de mettre les choses en place. Vous avez vu d'autres communautés, ils sont vraiment structurés, ils sont bien organisés. Je crois qu'ils sont subventionnés. On n'a rien, on se débrouille. On a commencé là, en espérant qu'on va aller très loin.
Mais vous puissiez vous présenter.
Ouais, moi c'est Salomon Utumba, je suis membre de la communauté congolaise ici à Coventry. Je suis aussi performant, je ne me rappelle plus comment on dit ça, du groupe que vous avez vu ici on stage. Donc c'est ça, c'est tout ce que je peux dire pour moi.
Donc vous faites partie du groupe Elikia?
Oui, pour le moment oui.
Ouais, donc, mais le groupe Elikia a joué une performance africaine ou bien elle a représenté la communauté congolaise?
Tout d'abord, on est venu ici, on avait besoin de groupes pour faire quelque chose ici, dans le but de recevoir l'archbishop. Ce n'était pas congolais ou ivoirien. Vous allez remarquer que quand on était là, il y avait un gars qui est ghanéen, il était avec nous. C'est-à-dire on a essayé un peu de mélanger. Donc c'est ça. Donc on est venu ici représenter l'Afrique. Donc représenter l'Afrique parce que, comme on a dit ici, donc Coventry c'est une cité de réconciliation. C'est une cité qui recoupe un peu toutes les couleurs culturelles. Donc c'est une cité où on va trouver un grand nombre aussi de réfugiés. Donc par rapport à ça, on a essayé un peu de prendre quelque chose venant de toutes les communautés et puis de tous les groupes, je dirais donc.
Donc, mais le groupe Elikia, parce que vous êtes membre permanent du groupe Elikia?
Oui, je suis dans le groupe Elikia qui est un nouveau groupe, je dirais. C'est un nouveau groupe, donc il n'y a pas encore un grand agenda. On voulait tout d'abord évoluer dans un sens, et beaucoup plus dans le sens de prestations
Mais le groupe Elikia représente, en fait, c'est un groupe folklorique qui représente l'Afrique.
Beaucoup plus la culture congolaise, la musique folklorique traditionnelle congolaise, je dirais comme ça.
Bonsoir maman, j'aimerais d'abord que vous puissiez vous présenter.
On m'appelle Thérèse Moussongela. Je fais partie du groupe culturel Elikia.
Ok maman. Groupe Elikia, qu'on puisse s'exprimer dans quelle langue? Parce que le français n'est pas la langue africaine.
On peut parler en lingala.
D'accord maman. Donc Toloba, groupe Elikia. Ouais, Yosiko on a groupe Elikia aux joueurs rôle ni.
Na groupe Elikia on a secrétaire.
Secrétaire, mais tout le monde peut au Lambi, et tout ça, donc on représentait groupe Elikia ou bien on représentait Kolia et Afrique?
On a représenté Kolia et Afrique. Balouba qui a surtout Lamba.
Ok, mais si tu as là au Lambi Nini ou bien.
To Lamba qui loso, to Lambi Makayabu, to Lambi Soso, to Lambi Pondu, Namikate.
Ah. Mais impressionnant les anini pour la prestation d'Abino. Premièrement, groupe Elikia et Bini bien. Et puis yo Bilam Belina yo donc na Monique est impressionné Batebele pour Batebele ba se servir. Mais c'est quoi le programme ni zoya après na Katia groupe Elikia parce que au ebisinga bien que oza secrétaire.
Programme eza koya bon le compte bandi sika c'est quoi yo photo fungola compte bancaire. Tout ça déjà constitution, surtout font compte bancaire, tout ça déjà dans rendez-vous la semaine prochaine. Comme ça, on est banding tout va ni samakambu, tout va nous ça va projet.
Mais c'est que le groupe Elikia les a privés bien sûr, mais ils ont représenté Afrique ou bien partie Mogoboy Afrique.
Le groupe Elikia n'a pas tout ça dans l'objectif nabiso, tout ça li quota la donc la communauté nyonso. Ils allaient faire la communauté, ça va prendre la communauté congolaise, la communauté africaine, et ça prend la communauté. Donc, tout le monde surtout dans la carte, tout travailler dans la carte, il y a un groupe Nabiso.
Donc, même collier, chinois, tout ça, donc, tu voyais pas dans groupe Elikia.
Bon, pour la collier, le chinois, tu as dit si les chinois, dans le groupe Nabiso,
hello, good evening. Can you just tell me you are here tonight?
Today, I was here today to be one of the volunteers tonight here, working here tonight for this event, and I've realized I've really enjoyed my time. I've just tasted a lot of food variety, but the best was this one.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm from Kenya myself, originally from Kenya.
Okay, and the food you enjoyed, where is it from?
The Congolese food was the best.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that was the best food ever, especially me coming from Africa. It's a long time ago, but when I ate this food, it reminds me back of Africa, you know.
Kenya is doing the same food as
yeah, the same food, very good, well cooked food. The chicken, the fish was very good, and also the round.
Okay, and but this one, the way it was cooked, it's
cooked the best.
The best.
Yeah, if I was going to pay my money, I was going to pay this one tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. Tu as été préparé comment? Tu as aimé la nourriture congolaise?
Oui, beaucoup.
Bon, ouais. Et qu'est-ce que tu penses du groupe qui a performé devant l'archevêque aujourd'hui?
Je préfère parler à l'anglais parce que c'est plus.
Okay, did you like the performance from the group, the Congolese group specifically?
To tell you the truth, it was like really good because like it supports our country and like as I haven't been to Congo yet, it gives me an image how it is to play the drums and how it is like in Congo.
Okay, did you like it or not?
Very, I really enjoyed it.
What about the food?
The food was very nice, and when I was helping, I got to eat some food myself. I kept eating, I couldn't stop.
That makes you go to Congo tomorrow.
Yeah.